When you get into the communities, we get to understand what the people out there in the communities, what do they think about disease? Not what Hippocrates thinks about disease, but what this layman who has probably never seen any medical book, what's their perspective of their disease? What do they understand?
We are very privileged in Uganda to have a community of people who can listen if they are informed.
You know, in Uganda, whenever you have health workers going to the community, trying to do something, people are always interested and they will always be willing to do something. And it's a little different because not many Ugandans have had actual contact with health workers.
The area of about 50,000 people has only one doctor.
People ask us about ordinary questions which we think are easy but which concern them. And we tend to explain them in much more scientific way, and they don't really understand what we say.
Something about our cultural heritage is a lot. People value their languages, people value their cultures and beliefs. So understanding the cultures and beliefs in the different communities and translating this product in the local languages would help us reach out to those people.
But when we develop these tools, simple tools in their languages, people will understand them better than we people explaining in our medical languages.
When medical students go out there and tell them about malaria, they feel like somebody cares about them, health workers care about them.
When we go to villages, we face very many challenges.
The beauty of the project is that it talks about what's actually in the community, tries to tackle what's on ground.
Someone constructs a house, and in the next 2 meters is the whole shamba, a whole plantation of maize. So during this season, when the maize has just grown, the mosquitoes will accumulate and they will just be flying from the plantation to the what? Through the window to the houses. So this person will think that because of the maize, that's why we are getting malaria.
In medical school, they won't teach you that people think that mangoes cause malaria.
They say that don't eat ripe mangoes. You can eat raw mangoes. They don't eat ripe mangoes because they cause malaria. These mangoes, when they ripe up, they drop. And when they drop, remember it's a rainy season, they rot. And when they rot, when it's raining, this rotten mango, it's a breeding area for mosquitoes. You'll just see insects flying out of the dirty, rotten mango.
The biggest surprise was when I asked a lady what causes malaria, and she told me she doesn't know, but she thinks it's witchcraft.
Some of the illnesses, these very severe illnesses, they are basically attributed to witchcraft.
You go to the community, get their ideas, their beliefs, and it's the beliefs of the people in the community that you try to work upon.
We had to interact with them to understand their perspective. Why did they think that mangoes cause malaria? Why did they think that maize cause malaria? And through this, we're also able to educate them as we are collecting information to make this particular product. Pictures are sort of like crowd pullers. Once somebody sees a picture, they're interested. What does that picture say? And so they'll draw near and they'll read whatever literature is there.
Pictorial display of information in Uganda is much better than only words. In that we have people who are really too illiterate, and they could only pick a word out of seeing that a baby is holding a cup of water and is taking water. There you can explain better that taking a lot of fluids can help in case of diarrhea, than just explaining by word. When you see the pictures, they will pull much attention of these people than just, giving like a lecture.
Then even if somebody doesn't know the local language, but they'll look at the picture and they'll get the message, because it has been done, the tool has been developed in Uganda, and they can identify with it.
When you turn a page and you show the coffin, people get shocked a little bit. Then when you explain further, you say that this is the effect of malaria. It will ring a bell in their mind. By seeing a coffin, they will know that malaria kills.
There was a picture of people gathering in a tree, under a tree, which is basically typical of our African culture. Mostly village meetings are conducted under trees, under temporary shelter. So it's something that somebody would identify with. So when somebody looks at that, they feel it's part of them. They feel like the pictures were gotten right out of their community and placed there.
We meet an old lady. She was, I think, in her 60s, who we tried to explain that mosquitoes do cause malaria. But this lady believed that malaria is caused by maize. So she asked, these small insects can cause malaria? How come? It really took us some good time to convince this lady that malaria is caused by mosquitoes. But at the end of the day, we convinced, and I'm proud to say that I will declare the project a success, in that the next days we are going to the communities, we are getting masses listening to us because they felt they were benefiting.
Most people don't really finish their medication. As long as somebody takes their medication and the headaches have been alleviated, they stop taking the medicine. But they need to be constantly reminded that they have to finish their doses. They don't know that. Then another problem which you have is sharing drugs. Let's say I'm feeling a bit better, and then following day my kid is sick, definitely I would share my medication with my kid because I'm feeling much better. So that way, people develop resistant strains. Despite the fact that people have gotten this knowledge about malaria, yeah, they know malaria kills, but they need to be constantly reminded with visuals. They need to be, somebody has to get out there in the community and constantly remind them that this is the problem and this is how we have to solve it.
Well, we went to a home and we found the person didn't have a cover to the toilet. And we told him that the toilet, when flies enter the toilet and they don't have a cover, they can easily go and contaminate food or any item in the house. Then the person still had a very bushy compound.
You can't, to convince them that the bushes are a factor in malaria is a bit difficult, and it takes quite a lot of time to try and change the beliefs of the people. But eventually, with time and with simplified tools and examples, it comes around easy.
It was to our surprise and excitement to find that the next time we went there, we found a very cleared bush, the toilet had already a cover, and the family was very happy that they had benefited from our knowledge. In clinics or in health centers in the villages, we have outpatient departments which are flooded. You find like outpatient in a health center they are getting 1,000 patients or less than 1,000 patients per day. Now you find when they are waiting for their turn to see the doctor, you take the advantage of people are seated very well to wait for their turn to enter to see the doctor. You take the advantage of those people and you explain to them, and it becomes like really it's good because you get the advantage to get a very big number, and these people will listen to you. I mean, they have come to the health center and you're giving them a health talk. These tools will simplify our language.
This program, first of all, should be integrated into our curriculum, because with our curriculum we go into the community so that every year as students are going out in these communities, they can share this knowledge with these people, and that I think would help in curbing down malaria.
There's the idea of empowering the community themselves to teach the rest of the community to prevent malaria. People who live in the community are better informed about how the community is, the community beliefs. What we have is only a sample of what the community believes.
So if this information could be dissipated to all these communities, then the next time you go there, you'll be just implementing the ideas your friends left there.
The Ministry of Health may not be necessarily able to facilitate community extension workers to go into these communities and teach the general public about malaria. But when these medical students go into these communities, they can always carry with them that information that to tackle some of the cultural beliefs.
It's much cheaper on the side of manpower because the people are there in the community, you've empowered them from their own communities, so it's easier to change their local community. They know their beliefs and they can work on the beliefs of, because they also had the same beliefs, so they can work on the beliefs of the rest of the community better than we can.
Some of these diseases, they are preventable, and yet we spend lots of money treating these diseases, but there are simple solutions to these big problems, like for example removing those empty cans, trying to get rid of the stagnant water. There are simple solutions, but here in Africa we spend lots of money on treatment and lots of people die. These are simple solutions to the big problems we face.
I think of this project as some tool which will change the society.
This is actually one of the aims of the COBS curriculum. We want to make students who are actually agents of change on the community level.
If every student who goes for COBS is empowered to do something, then I think we can make a big contribution to changing the state of malaria in Uganda.
Being part of this project was the least I could do to contribute to the betterment of this society.
I was very much excited. I felt I can change a society.